Yo, what's up everybody, and welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, we are going to be reviewing Get Good Drums Modern and Massive 2. And I'm going to show you what I wrote with Modern and Massive 2 in just under 2 hours after installing these drums. So before we get into the playthrough and the tutorial, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you learn anything from this video, please give the video a thumbs up. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments. I respond to all of them. So when I was live streaming last week, I had a bunch of people ask me if I've tried Modern and Massive 2 and if it was worth the $180. So today, I hope to answer that question for you. And by the end of this video, you can determine yourself if you think it's worth the $180. But before we get into the playthrough and the tutorial, have you checked out my YouTube member section yet? I literally post in my member section mixing chains, drum chains, guitar chains, mastering chains. Not to mention the members of my YouTube channel also get a 20% discount on all of my courses. And speaking of courses, did you know my brand new course, How to Mix and Master Modern Metalcore, is on sale until May 15th for only $99. And when you get this course, you also get my free mix and mastered Cubase session. So if you like the way my stuff sounds, please head over to dustybowls.com where you can find courses, one-shots, all that cool stuff. And you could also find this Modern and Massive 2 kit preset that I've made on my website. Let's get into the playthrough of what I created with Modern and Massive 2 in under 2 hours of unboxing the product. Let me know what you think in the comments. So the first thing I want to cover about Modern and Massive 2 is the installation process. The installation process with this particular Get Good was unlike anything I've ever experienced. Basically, when you install the product, it really just installs for you. It finds your DLL folder, your VST3 folder, and it automatically just goes there with Cradle. Cradle's kind of like their version of like a Native Instruments, right? Installing this product was just one click of a button. When opening up Modern and Massive, so in Cubase, you would just right click, add an instrument, and this is what it's going to look like. It's going to have its own virtual instrument section right there that just says Modern and Massive 2. This is a kit that I built. I've processed it essentially inside of the software. What they're doing is kind of like eliminating the process of having to mix this inside a DAW. You can externally send things to buses. When you go to like your mixer right here, you can create a new bus or you can send things to whatever. If you wanted to create that new bus, you could also go over here, or you can create a multi-source, which is essentially where you can route inputs from, let's say like cymbals or room mics or whatever. GUI is pretty cool. I mean, the whole UI itself is sick. The biggest thing that I'm noticing about this software versus any other GGD product right out of the gate are the cymbals. All these cymbals cut through. This is my favorite China so far. I really liked that Architect's One Kit Wonder China up until I heard this one. And this one's just super sick. The 19-inch is really cool too, but I don't really enjoy the sustain. The Peisty one is really cool. There's a lot of cut right there. But I tend to think that this one is probably the best for what I want. Crashes, you have 3 options. That one's cool. This one's cool. I really like crashes with sick wash on them that'll actually cut through the mix. These hi-hats are probably the most high-pitched hi-hats. You can hear these are a little dull. Those are a little too high, but I like the way that these cut. You kind of just go through all these. That's a cool crash too, actually. I really like that one as well. There's tons of cymbal options. Splash. I think this one's the best. Cuts nice. Toms. You have 2 options with the first rack tom, and then you have 3 options with the other rack toms. I like these. This one's cool too, but I think these are like the deeper ones. Some coated heads. So these are the toms that I chose. Now this is where it gets really, really cool, and where I think you really get your money's worth with this are the snare options. This is my favorite snare. I love these snare options. I kind of go through them really quick, and I can show you what they sound like in a mix too. And the cool thing about it is when you change the kit, it kind of just applies to your chains right away. So like I could be playing, listen, let's find a part really quick, just like a heavy part. So that's the snare that I'm using. I'll just go down the line here and show you what these snares sound like. This one's pretty sick. So that one's nice and fat. This one's cool, kind of piccolo-ish. That one's pretty tight. So I like that one a lot too. All these are just really sick. They're very top-notch. Obviously that one's got a little bit of nasty frequency we'd have to remove. That's something that I'm noticing with this particular Get Good product. All of these are sounding pretty sick right out of the gate. Once you process them, you can kind of go through and change them, and you don't really have to remove too many frequencies, which is pretty unusual. So it's sick they figured it out. I do like this one. It's got that like Slaughter to Prevail piccolo vibe. You hear that ring? So I think that was really smart on their behalf to do that. This is my second favorite one. I really like that one. This is the one that I've been using. I feel like it just cuts. It's nice and tight, but still thick. And then the next one would be the DW. Very tight. Very deft tones. Lastly, you've got like the dead indie snare, which actually works. I like this one. It's probably the worst sounding snare, but actually still can work in a mix if you listen. You know what I'm saying? You've got tons of different kick drums here, and they all just rip. This one's probably the most clicky, and they all sound good. You can just change them and they work in the mix. Like any of these can actually work with what I'm doing. That one's got like a kick 10 vibe. Yeah, so all the kicks are pretty top tier. Next, moving on to the levels. So if you're looking for the control over your inputs, here they are right here. And then you can route these to wherever you want to route them, which I think is cool. So here's like your velocity curve. I don't have to do much of the velocity curve because these are the best sounding velocities I've ever heard, like on a VST. You're talking Superior, Slate, anybody. These are like as top notch as it gets. And then like your envelope shaper on your, which is super cool. So if you're like, you want to kind of gate your toms here or get rid of some of that, like that ring, it's cool that they actually have this figured out here so you can take care of it. The way that you're actually hearing this kit, this is going through, like here's Modern and Massive. And if you notice my routing, it's going to my drum bus, okay? And then my drum bus is going to be up here. And this is where I'm doing some serious compression and some clipping. And I'm going to turn that off really fast. Now you're going to hear what the kit was intended to sound like without my processing on here. So this is just what the processing in Get Good would sound like before it hits any of my stuff. And it still sounds good, but really quickly you're going to notice a massive loss in volume because I just turned off my mix buses. This is my kit that you're hearing going straight to the stereo out. Still good, but obviously it lost a lot of volume, so I'm going to turn on the clippers here. This is what the processing sounds like with just a volume boost, essentially. That sounds good. Like, still sounds good, don't get me wrong. I just wanted you to hear that first. You're going to be hearing these kits that I'm playing going through my drum bus chain into my mastering chain. So this is it off, and let's get these back on really quick so I can kind of show you guys just what we're doing here. So again, I've got these running into their own buses, which isn't a lot. I mean, that's to be expected. The kit source is phenomenal, as you just heard. Yeah, that sounds great. So let's go through some of these kits. So let's go through the Zach Cervini one that I like the best is probably this guy right here, Pop Rock Kit 2. Let's check it out. I think right away with his kits, you can really hear like his style, like the Bad Omen snare is also in this one for sure. I like this one too. Nice Deftonesy sounding snare. I mean, as you could just hear, I mean, even with my processing that's meant for the kit that I just showed you that I created, it's going through that processing and it's still sounding insane. There might be a little bit of clipping going on the bass drum and whatnot and like crushing it a little bit, but we'll get into why that is here in a second. George Lever's got some kits on here. These two right here I think are more geared towards like the early Sleep Token kits, like super high snare. Check that out. Obviously, like those overheads are mad loud. And I will say, he is the only person that I saw in here with a dedicated snare room bus. And I don't know if that's because he's doing snare automation. Buster Oldholm's got some good ones too. And these really sound like his stuff, for sure. Yeah, that snare sounds killer. And I mean, I'm just blown away at how good these actually sound, even though they're going through my processing. Now, this is the kit, again, that I created that's on my website. And I just really wanted something thick and pissed off. And again, like these kick drums, there's so many good ones. So moving on to the plugins that come with the mixing EQ, they also have their own drive, which is pretty cool. And you could do like soft, tape, hard. They're all pretty sensitive. They sound pretty sensitive. Modern compressor, which is, I think, more geared towards like the VB Gray potentially. And then you have your vintage style compressor, which I'm assuming is a little bit more geared towards like the LA2A or the 1176 because the slam isn't as apparent. The Transient Designer is like essential for this stuff, so I'm really glad they included that. And I like how they're basic, just to the point. Like the UIs of these are just not confusing and like all fancy. Next is reverb. You can, plate, hall, and room. That's really all you need. I mean, you don't really need anything else. Again, if you want to route these to your own routing in your DAW, it's as easy as clicking the external and then just sending them out, to a channel. I'm going to show you guys how to create an automation on the snare for like a snare bomb right here. So on this last part of this breakdown, we'll just use this as an example. So you go into your mixer and we would create a new multi-source. And what we're going to do is we're going to name this auto snare. And you're going to grab the input by hitting this button right here. Let's grab the room far because the room far is the one that's going to bomb and make it sound a lot bigger. Save changes, crank it up a little bit. We would go over to Modern and Massive in Cubase. Let's activate some outputs. So we go external, pick any of those outputs that you just activated, and let's now see where they're coming through at. Perfect. So we're hearing it right here, right? So that's that room far mic that we just put in there on the... So the way we'd want to tame that right there, we could do this a couple ways, but this is the way that I'm going to do it. Find your favorite reverb plugin. In this case, I'm going to use Manny. I'm going to dial back the wetness a little bit. We're probably going to find about a 300 to 400 spot that needs to just come out completely because it's going to take up a lot of that woof sound. And this is the most important part, Renaissance Axe. But this is how we're going to control the fader here, in addition to automating the part, obviously, because now what I would do is I would kind of zoom in here. You want to make your automation points only on the spots that we're going to be utilizing. We can control the volume by doing that right there, right? So in that case, I would take this down kind of everywhere else. So that way, just right here, this is where we're only really hearing the snare bombs. Let's hear what this sounds like. Yeah, so there's one way of doing it, and then we could even add a little bit of compression here. Let's see what this sounds like. Yeah, so it makes the breakdown bigger, it makes it more exciting. So it's just as easy as creating the multi-source, sending the multi-source to an output, and automate your favorite reverb. Back to the $180 question, is it worth it? Yes, it's worth it. Especially if you are into seeing how other people mix their drum kits. I think that's pretty cool. Pretty intuitive software. Thank you guys for watching this tutorial, and I will see you guys next time.